to be a millionaire in all 6 aspects of health. That's right. Every Wednesday, we share tips to improve your physical, intellectual, social, spiritual, obviously your financial, and your mental health. Which brings us to today. We are focusing on how to improve your mental health with leadership. Yeehaw. If you have never seen Millionaires Are Made, this is the show built on the fundamental beliefs that every person you meet knows something you don't, and there's something to be learned from everyone in this big, beautiful world. We are on a mission here at Millionaires Are Made to teach the world how to grow into the healthiest, happiest millionaires in all 6 aspects of health. So we went out and got 3 awesome guests to give you 3 awesome tips on how to improve your mental health with leadership. In the spirit of authenticity, we do not talk about tips or advice before the show starts. So what you hear from our guests is going to be our first time hearing it as well. Audience, this is an interactive show. We love questions, comments, answers if you have them. Feel free to just put them in the comments and we will respond to them live. Real quick, we're going to shout out a couple of our followers. We love doing this every episode. So followers, Facebook, Robin Wolf, you're awesome. Thanks for following me. Instagram, Matt and Dina, you guys rock. TikTok, keep it blunt. And on YouTube, Let's Talk Ideas. Thank you guys so much for following. Guests and topics, 2 things that we look for at every episode. Obviously, our mission is to have all 8 billion people in the world on the show. So if you haven't been yet, please sign up now. That link is being dropped. Come be a guest on our show. Share some knowledge with the world. We know that you know something nobody else knows. As well as topics, every week we do 2 shows with 2 topics, and we always are looking for new topic ideas. What do you want to learn about? What do you want to meet experts about? Let us know so we can go throw a whole show together just for you. Quick shout out, it's 2025 and everything relies on like, subscribe, share, comment, all that fun stuff. If you like what we do, please like us, subscribe, and follow us. Awesome announcements. So we have merchandise now, as you can see, that I am wearing. If you're interested in joining that Millionaires Are Made family, go get an awesome shirt, spread some love, enjoy today. We actually today are also just launching our first course. At this point, we have done over 200 episodes, been in the top 100 of Apple Podcasts, and are now teaching you how we do that. For anyone starting out a podcast or looking for tips on how to grow theirs, we run this a very, very small team and have had an awesome time meeting, learning, and growing. So we will start having courses. That link hopefully is being dropped right now. The first course is 99 cents. We are trying to do this as cheap as possible so that you can learn and grow as well. That being said, we also have free growth sessions. I love to talk and teach one-on-one. Another link is being dropped for that. If you want to hang out, chat, learn, I can tell you everything about hosting a podcast, or we can just talk about growth and all the aspects of health and people I've met, all that kind of fun stuff. Whatever you want to talk about, I'm down. Let's talk. Check that out now. And even more stuff is coming, not just merchandise, not just courses. We are launching next year our next rendition of our podcast. It will be called Billionaires Are Made. This will be one-on-one with guests that have already been on Millionaires Are Made and have passed our certain sort of criteria. So we will be having Billionaires Are Made launching early next year. Be ready to check that out. We go more in depth and learn even more. So it's going to be great. All right, before we bring our first guest, we got to talk about some people that help run this show. So first off, Sarah Jones, thank you so much for being a huge sponsor. Sarah used to be buried in debt in her failing marriage. Eventually, she wiped it all clean and built her own way to handle money, and now she helps others do the same. She's now a financial coach, guiding couples, individuals, and small businesses to build fun, healthy money habits, and travels the U.S. in a giant, 70-foot RV with 14 cars attached with her husband, and they live a super happy life teaching people how to have great financial foundations. Our next sponsor is Parent Win Solutions. Parenting is tough, and no one warned you that half of it feels like guessing. I am not a parent, but I can relate to that, I'm sure. Parent Win Solutions is the partner you wish you had on day one. No lesson plans to memorize and no videos to binge watch. Just simple steps that cut stress and help you connect with your child without losing your mind. If you want a calmer home and a guide who actually gets what real life looks like, this is your place. Link is being dropped right now. Our next sponsor is Bonnie Hartle, your women's empowerment coach in Atlanta, Georgia. Specializing in mindset, gratitude, and personal development, Bonnie offers a unique approach combining vision boards with the wheel of life. She also manages an Atlanta Airbnb property, and you can learn more about that. Check out Bonnie, the link being dropped right now. And our final sponsor of this episode is Brian Wright. If you want to get your brand in front of high-level entrepreneurs and personal growth leaders, Brian is the editor at Ultimate Achievers Magazine, where industry icons meet a content-first audience. Brian also helps people that have not published or are looking to publish their second, third, fourth book, and he's an expert in that as well. Now that we got all the fun stuff out of the way, the time has come to meet our first guest. Please welcome Andrew. Andrew, tell us, who are you?
Hey guys, I'm Andrew Drasen. I am the author of A Vision of Hope, A Story of Redemption and Purpose. It's actually a 3-book series that releases on December 2nd, and the founder of A Vision of Hope Media. I've spent my late teens and 20s battling addiction and incarceration, and used that to basically tell my story and transform my life to help others do the same.
I love it. Fascinating, Andrew. All right, well, let's take a little bit of that, and I got a very important question for you. If I wanted to improve my mental health with leadership, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
Be empathetic. And we have to kind of understand what other people are going through in order to be able to guide them through that. And then the other piece would be use the tools that are best designed for the task. Certain people have different skill sets, and assigning people to the task that best suits their skill set is going to help the whole machine run better. So I guess those are the two biggest pieces that I'd have.
Awesome. I love it. Andrew, where on your life journey did you learn this advice?
Well, I've had a few mentors throughout my life. One was a man named Perry at a job that I had. I went door to door with resumes, and he ended up giving me a chance. And he introduced me to his family, and just took a real interest in what I was doing. The second piece, I'd say, from car sales. I had a manager who was not afraid to get out there and talk to customers if need be. And, he was willing to do whatever needed done, which I think is a real sign of leadership. If you can't guide someone to do something that you're not willing to do yourself.
Valid. I love it. Whew. All right, Andrew. Well, we're going to move on to our next guest, and we'll bring you out in the round robin. Next
Awesome.
up, we have Dr. Lisa. Dr. Lisa, tell us, who are you?
Well, thank you. Good morning. My name is Dr. Lisa Lowe, and I am a healthcare executive that coaches and takes those healthcare professionals who are burnt out back to their why. I really enjoy digging deep into why individuals are in healthcare, and the empathy. Are you empathetic? Is it compassion? I like to dig deep and figure out, you get that why back and your compassion back, and have your heart glow. And so I enjoy helping healthcare professionals discover their why, get their compassion or empathy back, and help them through difficult times.
Do you find a lot of them lose their compassion and their why, maybe with, I guess I would say, bureaucratic paperwork of insurance companies?
Yeah, we do that. Yes, we do. Thank you for that. That happened, and I think a lot during the pandemic. Our why got so far, and so it got so distant. I think we kind of forgot what we were doing. And I really, I myself have been there, and similar to what Andrew had said, I think we've all kind of walked that journey of trying to help other people go where we've been. I have been a healthcare professional for 35 years. I've been in leadership majority of those 35 years. And I love helping people understand their why. One of the things for leadership mental health I think is very important is
Hold on right there, Dr. Lisa. I'm going to ask you a very important question
Okay.
before you answer that.
Okay.
let's go with this. If I wanted to improve my mental health with leadership, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
I would give you understand your own personal values and beliefs and make sure they align with your environment. Your environment being whether that's your employer, whether that's your family, whether that's the board of directors. I think mental health starts to deteriorate when we are stretched away from our values and beliefs and our whys. If you're following, if you're a servant leader and you're here and you're in the flow of the universe, you don't even know that you're working. But when you start doing tasks and things that you don't really believe in, sometimes that's the insurance paperwork. When you go to nursing school and you want to be closer to that patient and you want to be empathetic and compassionate and be there for when they need you the most in their life, and here you are sitting behind a desk with a computer filling out paperwork, that's stretching your why. And I think that's where the mental health strain comes from, is that we're showing up in places that maybe our environment makes us.
All right, Dr. Lisa, where in your life journey did you learn this tip?
Actually, probably back to 1990 when I started nursing school and I didn't like it. So I went to be a leader to help other people grow and develop.
Awesome. I love it, Dr. Lisa. Thank you so much. We're going to move on to our next guest here. We'll bring it back out in the round robin. And finally, we have Dwayne. Dwayne, tell us, who are you?
Yeah, so I'm Dwayne Morton. I'm a former international basketball player, and through that part of resilience, has actually helped me go through some different mental health challenges. In 2006, I was diagnosed with a rare blood cancer. And then also while I was battling that in 2022, I was involved in a police shooting where I was a bystander. So I was dealing with PTSD and survivor's guilt. And then on March 8th of 2024, I found out I was misdiagnosed of the blood cancer. So for 18 and a half years, the diagnosis was wrong. I ended up only having severe sleep apnea. And so through that, I chose the way I responded, and I became a resilience coach, teach mental performance to elite athletes. And then I'm a podcast host because I believe that I can spotlight other people with resilient stories. For me, the program that I built, it was what I was searching for while I was going through the challenge of the misdiagnosis.
All right, I've got a very important question for you. Dwayne, if I wanted to improve my mental health with leadership, what tiny piece of advice would you give me?
I think emotional awareness. I think that's where it begins and where it starts, is starting with you, and then you are able to facilitate it to other people. So people are learning the lessons through me and not through someone else. And I think that's where we really, I don't like to say the word fail, but as leaders, we have to realize it does begin with us. And then we are that lighthouse for others. And that's also one of the things with how I learned this was I didn't learn this through a book or a course. I actually learned this through life. And so I think that's also one of the superpowers that I was given by going through some of the challenges I had to go through.
I love it. All right, Dwayne, where on your life journey did you learn this tip?
Oh man, I think it's just through all these different circumstances where it wasn't my choice to go through things. I think that's the other aspect of where my journey is a little different. I didn't choose any of the stuff that I had to go through, but what I did was I chose how to respond. And so I think that's very important, is we can take some type of responsibility and take as much ownership as possible. But what we can do is also muddle in the corner and sulk and those type of things. And so we can stay in that victim mentality. And there was parts of my life where I did that too, but I decided hey, I'm not going to do this victim mentality stuff anymore.
I love it. All right, Dwayne, let's bring everyone out. Let's start this round robin. We went through that pretty quickly, but I'm excited to see what happens here. Audience, this is a great time to ask questions or comments, and we will answer them live. It's going to be great. So let's just start off real quick. Andrew, can you quickly refresh what your tip was for us?
It was to be empathetic and then lead by example, be willing to do, what it is that you're leading others on doing. And then there was a third. is empathetic, lead by example, and then use the right tools for the right task.
All right, Dr. Lisa, what are your thoughts on his tips?
Oh, I think empathetic is huge. I think compassionate empathy is a very important part of leadership. And I think if you show that to others, I think they're going to be, that's a natural leader, is when you have empathy, then others will be attracted to you as a leader, and they're going to feel like you provide a safe space for them.
Very good, very good. Dwayne, what are your thoughts on his tips?
Oh, it's perfect. I mean, so empathy is like one of the first things of emotional awareness, but we also have to understand that sometimes people get triggered, and we have to know those triggers in ourselves and others as we're going through and being empathetic, because what I'm empathetic with might be something that someone thinks is soft or might think that I'm too hard. I mean, so there's these other aspects of it. I think it's about being adaptable to different circumstances.
Nice, very nice. All right, well, let's move on to Dr. Lisa. Can you refresh what your tip was for us?
Yeah, making sure your values and beliefs are aligned with your environment, making sure that when you show up, whether it's like at work, or you're working with your board of directors, or even with your family, making sure that your values are aligned. I feel that when you're showing up with your values A, and then you're starting to perform B, C, and D, you're starting to be pulled a little bit. And I think that's where the mental health starts to wear on people, is
Yeah.
you're doing things that you're not in alignment with, and it's not necessarily your belief system, so it's hard.
Dwayne, what are your thoughts on her tip?
Yeah, and also the alignment part. But what she said is like, make sure you stay and keep in your integrity on all your values, your morals, principles, those type of things. I mean, so one of the things is if I go play golf with somebody and they cheat, I probably don't want to do business, because guess what? They probably cheat me in business or in some type of life stuff. So I think that's the other aspect, is we see these little things, and then we have the ability to choose whether we want to look past it or use that as like, hey, that's a red flag for me. Whenever I see red flags, that's usually when I start backing away, and I use my intuition as much as possible. I think that's the other aspect, is being able to really know what I want and how I want, and not fall off of those principles. But integrity is so important to me that I always lead with integrity first.
Awesome. All right. Andrew, what are your thoughts on Dr. Lisa's tip?
Yeah, I mean, it's spot on. If what we're doing, if it goes against our values and our morals, and it doesn't align with us internally, it's going to be very hard to lead others, much less maintain that inner peace and happiness and fulfillment in life. So first, we got to find our trajectory and find what makes us feel fulfilled, and then kind of pursue that. Then we can lead others.
I love it. All right, so let's start. We have a couple questions from the audience. We'll get to those in a second. Dwayne, go ahead and refresh what your tip is for us.
So my tip is to do these 4 things. I call it Dwayne's daily plan of attack. Every day, be grateful. People aren't able to wake up and live, so that's the first thing. But just be grateful, and then the second part is do some type of self care. For me, that was stretching, and then the third step is movement. Always move, even if it's just to go to the fridge and get a glass of OJ. Celebrate that fact that you were able to move. And then the fourth step, and I think is one of the most important steps, is to be adaptable. And I think that's the part that comes in with emotional awareness, is being able to not hit those potholes that we see in life. We have the ability to swerve. And even when we swerve and we hit the pothole, we don't have to hit those head on. And it actually is a lot less destructive.
All right, Dr. Lisa, what are your thoughts on his tip?
Oh, I think they're wonderful. One of the things that it brought up was, when you're a leader, you don't have to come in and be a big leader. You don't have to come in and be a perfect leader. You come in to be a leader. And what Dwayne said about adaptability, to me, just fits right into that, is you show up every day and be a leader. You might not be the best today, but honey, you're there. And be grateful, which also Dwayne said, and you don't have to be perfect. But people, especially I think nowadays, honey, just show up and be your authentic self and be adaptable and grateful.
Andrew, what are your thoughts on Dwayne's tip?
Yeah, I mean, emotional intelligence is incredibly important. I mean, empathy is kind of encompassed in his tip, and adaptability incredibly important. I mean, it's we have to kind of know and be able to understand ourselves and examine our own mindset before we can guide others on navigating theirs, essentially. So because it's one thing to lead at a job or a task, and it's another thing to lead in life, essentially. So yeah, emotional intelligence is incredibly important for that.
All right, guys, let's define what is a leader. Anyone can take this.
I'd like to take it. I think a leader is I believe a leader is a person who eats last. Make sure that his people is taken care of, but it has the ability to have the less ego part to be able to eat last, be able to take care of the people, be able to support them, and then also be able to support the entire group. I think that's the other part, is to be able to step into that situation and to set aside their ego to do what's best for everyone. And that's also one of the things for leaders, is that ego part. You got to have it, you got to keep it, pet it, but you got to realize that that ego can be just as powerful positively as it can be negatively.
Can I add to Dwayne's?
Of course.
I think a leader, and I totally agree with him. I think a leader is going to teach you how to fish. They're not going to fish for you. That's how you grow and develop people. And I also think, which I see a lot in society lately, is when you're a leader, honey, you're the visionary. You know what your next step is, and you know when you've met your goals. And that is what I truly see more so now today than maybe 20 years ago, is we need visionaries and we need people that are going to get us to that finish line.
So let's delve into that just a tiny bit. You said that leaders teach people to fish and they don't, fish for them or whatever or do it. But then earlier, I believe it was Dwayne that said that a leader puts away the ego. Actually, it might have been Andrew, and goes in and does things for his team. How do we decide what the difference is?
I'm going to teach you how to do a podcast, and I'm going to walk beside you to teach you. So I'm not going to walk ahead of you. I'm not going to walk behind you. What I got it from Dwayne is he's going to walk beside you to teach you how to do stuff. But at the end of the day, he's going to empower you to be that leader and to be the best person that you can be.
Love it. All right, Andrew, question for you.
Yeah.
We're trying to focus on the mental health side of leadership. Do, let's say, mediocre/good leaders require a different mental health fortitude than, let's just say, your average person?
Well, I think most leaders just have done a little bit more inner work. I don't know. Yeah, I kind of would say that it would require it, because if we're not confident, and if we don't know the path that we're walking and the solution that we're working towards, it's going to be very hard to guide other people on that same path if we haven't already walked it. So yeah, I would say that's important.
Anyone else have some thoughts on that?
Yeah,
I think focus. Go ahead, Dwayne.
No, I think sometimes that you have to realize that the good leaders are put into a position that they weren't really, it was just a promotion. But then you have people who are leaders who are put in that position, and so they have the ceiling of being a great leader. I think we have to be able to recognize the difference between who's in leadership and actually realize if they're in a place of like being comfortable being a leader. So if you put me in a position where I'm having to coach, like, say, 20 people, and I've never been in it, you're going to see my emotional part of being nervous and those type of things. And that's going to be an effect to everyone else, because they can read that. That's the other part. They have intuition also. But the people who are focused on being a leader, but also know that they're equipped with that sword, that part where it's been in the forge, and really have that ability, they own that. And there's the difference. And so there's these leaders that are just leaders by name, and then there's these people who are leaders by really their character and by the things and principles. And so what I was talking about was empowering earlier, but also being able to step in and show how that's being able to be done, but also knowing when to step back, being able to step in when I need to, but then also know when, hey, I need to step back and work on these other projects.
Awesome. All right. Let's talk more about the mental toll taken on leaders. Does it being a leader hurt your mental health more than not being a leader?
I'd like to chime in on that. It can, because it's more stressful, it's more responsibility, but it's going to boil down to how that individual leader manages their stress and how they're able to kind of juggle different tasks and responsibilities. So that's going to be a case by case basis, in my opinion.
Anyone else want to add to that?
I think part of being a leader that, especially like over the last 20 years, is you get decision tired. We have so much stuff, you guys, coming at us every day just in our personal lives. You take that and then you put 1,000 people under you, or you have your environment. I think people need to get more clarity and more focus, and they need to understand what drains them during the day and where your emotional energy is going. Because I know between social media and this and that, you guys, we go through, our decision making process has changed so much in the last 10 years just through social media and external environment. I think that we lose our focus and we get unclear of where our direction is. Then that's where some of that mental health comes from. Is, am I doing the right thing? Am I not doing the right thing? Should I do that? Should I do that? I think there's just a lot of decision making today that we, as a person, as a leader, I think our capacity needs to get bigger. But I'm not sure, how to do that because we're only one person.
Next question. Can anybody become a leader, and how?
I'm going to take what Dwayne said earlier about being intuitive. I think there's natural born leaders. One of the things that I've learned, I've watched in my career, is especially like during the pandemic, when you have a leader that was not in the leadership position, people always show up. You always have somebody that acquires that leadership position when a leader steps away. But that doesn't mean that person is a leader. It doesn't mean that person should be a leader. But maybe that person is a natural born leader that needs to maybe have some skills refined. There are natural born leaders. They may not have the confidence to step into the position, but I think there's things as natural born leaders. And there are always people, you guys, are going to step into leadership positions, and I'm not saying they should. But one of the things I try to do is empower those people who step into the leadership positions and teach them the skill set for the moment. And then, of course, maybe long term, we need to either promote them or we need to replace them.
I'd like to add on to that. So I think anyone can become a leader. Now, can anyone become a CEO? No. I mean, there's going to be, mental capacity and different things like that. But in other areas of your life, absolutely. I believe if, you spend the time and gain the knowledge and you have a passion and conviction, that other people are going to follow what you believe, regardless. It's just focusing and channeling that and making sure that conviction is there. Because if you don't have that, no one wants to follow someone who doesn't believe in whatever they're talking about. So.
Yeah, I'd love to chime in on this. So I look at it from like sports gave me this great insight, is being able to have roster management. I can't expect someone who's out of position to be able to fulfill a role an everyday role. Now, short term, possibly temporary, yeah, possibly if they have those type of traits. But I'm looking for that star player, the person that needs to be in leadership. But that's the thing is you just have to be in roster management. You have to sift and control. So I don't believe everyone can be a leader. I think there's aspects of people. I am going to disagree with Andrew about being a CEO. I think you could be a CEO of anything if you're passionate about it and you have that belief in it. I think that's important. So if I can be a GM of a basketball team a lot more than if I could be a GM of doing something mechanical, like running a factory or something like that, where I have to get my hands dirty. And the thing is my passion isn't there. So my belief of what I'm capable of doing, that stops and ends right there. So I think that's very important. And so, my programs show up to win, but it's not about winning games and championships. It's about coming and showing up with intention and showing up with presence. And I think that's the other aspect of leadership, where these people can step up, is just being able to be intentional and being able to say, okay, I want to become a better leader. And so it really comes from within.
Awesome. All right. Well, we are wrapping up here, guys. We got one last thing to do before we end this episode. We have to come up with a daily challenge. This is a task and or series of tasks that takes less than 5 minutes a day, costs $0, and is available to anyone in the world to help improve your mental health with leadership. What ideas do you guys have?
I mean, I'd like to go ahead. I mean, one of the things that I explained was the emotional awareness, but just the gratitude, self-care, movement, adaptability. Everyone is capable of doing that. And then also journaling. If we can have a piece of paper, if we don't want to price out the piece of paper or the notebook, you can grab some junk mail or something like that and get paper and a pen. But journaling to me is that part from within where you're able to really get to know yourself. Therefore, that makes you a better leader. But also, if you're having a bad day, you can say that, invent it to that piece of paper, and things get a lot better.
Now, this doesn't tie directly to leadership. This is something that really anyone can do. But one thing that I do is I keep a progress log every day. So I mark down what I got done for the day. And how I feel that helps is if you have very big goals, it can feel insurmountable to reach them sometimes. So by keeping track of the progress, it keeps that consistency and motivation and helps you see, hey, I am moving forward on this, even if it doesn't feel like it. So I feel like that's something that anyone can do.
Supporting
All right,
Andrew.
so, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, supporting what they just said. I don't think I'd like to do is I always do a brain dump at the end of the day and get my to-do list started for the next day so I can sleep. And then I always do it like an energy audit. What today took up more time than planned, and was I reactionary or was I preventative with my time?
All right, let's try to boil all of that down into 5 minutes. What do you guys think? Can we combine a couple of these things? What can we do for just a 5-minute quick session?
Yeah, I mean, that daily plan of attack that I gave you is that can be a morning routine, and it applies every day or through parts of the day. Her progress report. Sorry, which one said the progress report? But those things can be part, and then you want to do the brain dump because then you're able to go to sleep. I mean, there's these other aspects like that.
All right, let's define what a brain dump is.
Yeah, so I'll let her explain it because she brought it up.
Your mind's going 100 miles an hour, and you just write down whatever's on that sheet of paper is whatever you write down. If it's not that important, it doesn't get the sheet of paper. If it's important, it meets the sheet of paper. You look at it in the morning. Half of it you don't even remember, but I do get my to-do list done out of that. When I wake up in the morning, I want to start running. So the first 5 things I'm going to do when I get out of when I get out of bed in the morning, those are the things that are on that sheet of paper. So it's kind of like journaling. You could say it's a little bit like journaling, which would be Andrew mentioned.
It's like a type of journaling for sure.
Yep.
And maybe add So I like to meditate, but also visualize. I do a lot of visualization throughout the day, but I visualize after the task is being able to be completed, not the task doing the task. So I think that's really important. So I think just wanted to add that.
Cool. All right. I think both of those would be good. So write down. So we're gonna brain dump. Some people might do it in the morning, might do it at night. I guess whatever's best for you. And then visualize what either the rest of the day, or then if you're doing it at night, what the next day you want to look like. I mean, it's pretty powerful. I like that. That probably will take 5 minutes. I think that's a good challenge. Yeah, everyone agree?
Yep.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, just write down what you got done.
And then what you accomplish. So it's like a minute and a half each.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. That concludes our episode of Millionaires Are Made. We're huge shout out and thank you to Dr. Lisa, Andrew, and Dwayne. And thank all of you so much for watching. Hopefully you guys learned a little something. Thank you, Vivid. Happy for your comment there. And hopefully everyone else took a little time and learned a little bit about the mental health of leadership. I guess that's all we've got. Daily challenge is going to be write down anything and everything going through your mind in a brain dump. And then after you dump all that, take a little bit of time to visualize what your next plan of attack is going to be. And also don't forget to write down your accomplishments that you have done.